Well. Good afternoon, West Ham fans. Let's have a chat about what I would do in the transfer window this summer. Well, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Sorry, good lunchtime, everybody. Hope you're safe and well. Monday, short week for us, particularly in the UK. Obviously, Good Friday. So we've only got a 4-day week, thankfully, and then West Ham ruin our long Easter weekend with a trip to Newcastle, why man, on 12:30 kickoff on Saturday. Crazy time, especially for the travelling West Ham brigade. But we'll bring you all the news as we come out of this second week of the international break. I hate the international break, don't we? Keep an eye on the channel. We have got a cracking My Hammers 11 coming up in the next few days, hopefully. So keep an eye on that. We can make sure if you hit the bell notification and you comment, share, subscribe, and hit everything, be great. Anyway, we are going into sort of the business end of the season now, and regardless of who's in the dugout, and I keep saying this because when we talk about transfers, people say, "Oh, but Moyes won't want to buy him." The summer is Tim's. It's all Tim. It's all Tim. So regardless who is in the dugout, yes, they will have some um, input into who is brought in, but it is very much the next contract signed, whether it is by David Moyes, whether it is by another, will be a head coach slot. Maybe on a slot. Who knows? Maybe that was a Freudian slip, but I thought, well, if I was Tim Snyder, what would, in terms of the current squad, not necessarily talking about the squad itself, but that starting 11, there's some serious gaps that we need to address. And I thought what I'd do is I'll give you my 2 cents worth. What I would do, and I'd be really fascinated. This is just a start for 10. So the idea is you guys in the comments will give us yours. And then maybe what we do is collate some sort of poll, or not a poll, but maybe put together maybe at the end of the week based on all your comments who the West Ham network would want as their starting 11. Because there'll be some consensus. There'll be a few rogue ones as well. So we'll go through them and have a bit of a giggle. So underneath, let me know your comments in terms of who you would sign. Who would be your starting 11 next season? So let's start. For me, Areola maintains number 1 jersey. Obviously, we mentioned on the weekend that Fabianski is likely to be offered another 1 year extension to his contract. I think that's perfectly fair. I'm all for that. I think it makes perfect sense. Give the young goalkeepers, the likes of Heggie, the likes of Knightbridge, another year. Maybe send out Knightbridge on loan, maybe in the summer. Obviously, Heggie's at Den Bosch at the moment. We'll cover his. I know it's international break, isn't it? So for the academy show, we'll just be talking about some news. There's a little bit of news about that, really. Yeah, he's my number 1, my starting lineup. Right back now, I think for me, left back rather. For me, it's quite easy. I think Emerson is arguably one of the best left backs in the Premier League, and so he keeps that slot. I love that picture. However, we do need to get a decent number 2, so to speak, to Emerson. When he's not playing, when he's injured, when he's suspended, we look a shadow of the side. So I would be looking at a youngster not necessarily coming through, because I think Ollie Scars needs a bit more time, maybe. Again, maybe some loan time might help him. He's only 18, 19. He's still really young. So I would go to Brest in League A, a player we've been linked with heavily last summer, and in the January transfer window particularly, was Bradley Loco, who is having an absolute storming time in League A at the moment. I think they're sort of second or third in the league. Young, very quick, very attack-minded left back. Can equally play in the left wing back position as well. So for me, I'd bring him in. I'd bring him in as part of the squad. But Emerson's still number 1, but have some bloody good behind him to just keep him on his toes a little bit, because he hasn't got much competition. Moving in centre halves, I think Mavropanos. I think he, with a different manager underneath him, I think we've seen some good spells with him. I'd be happy to keep him and start him. I wouldn't start Zuma. and I wouldn't necessarily start again as well. Looking to move some of them on in the summer, possibly. But I would bring in Max Kilman from Wolves, a player we've been linked with heavily. He's homegrown as well. And he's got that sort of nice mix of being a modern defender, a modern left-sided defender as well. However, he can mix it up. He's a big lad, so he can mix it up with centre halves as well, which I think you need for all the nice, progressive centre halves and stuff. You do need someone sometimes to just put their foot for it, and he's been obviously alongside former West Ham cult hero Craig Dawson this season, and hopefully he would have learnt some of the ways of the Dorse, the ways of the Ballon. So that's what I would do. And he's left-sided as well. Right back now. Right back's one for me where I think we need an upgrade. Vladimir is great, at the moment, but I think going forward, he's not going to be the same player he is in 2-3 seasons time, not even in 1 season time. And every time he comes up against sort of genuine pace, that to me worries me, because he just can't cope with it. Just can't cope with genuine pace. So for that, I would be looking to bring in another. Now, according to several reports, we have been according to Tuto Sport, who I think it was Saturday, released an article saying West Ham sent staff to watch Torino defender Raul Bellanova, a guy we've spoken about before, up close last night. Serie A side, he's a right-sided defender, and can play right wing and right wing back, but is more preferred as a right back. So again, a very like Emerson on the left, really. So I think we bring in Bellanova as your right back, and I would start with him, to be honest. We've got some good youngsters coming through. Junior Robinson, who's just signed his first new pro deal. He's coming through, and there's even below that, you've got my friend Adrius Golombekis, who's a very good player at the moment. So that's what I would do. Moving into midfield, Alvarez, he's the rock. We should be building our team around him. Personally, I do agree with what Anton said the other day. If he can curb a little bit of his aggression there and don't get so many bookings, then he is captain material for me in that central defensive position. Next up, at the moment, on form, I wouldn't drop Thomas Souček. And, I would be have a prominent position in the squad. I mean, he's playing, really good the last few games. And if he continues that trajectory, why would you change him? However, I know there's, he sometimes has a bit of a dip in form. So it'd be a player I would look to bring in some competition. So that could be, for example, this man, Lazarus Saramidis from Udinese, a player we've been linked with quite heavily, according to Italian outlet Calcio Mercato. He would cost you a bit, though, about 30 million euros. So, and there would be plenty of people competing with the Serbian midfielder, German-born Serbian midfielder, but would definitely have an impact on the side. There is maybe a slight question about his temperament, so maybe that might move us away from him. Juventus are also apparently interested in him. But a guy we were heavily linked with and a guy whose manager is hoping we go for is Mandela Keita. So I think more likely we would get in someone like him as backup to Tommy Souček, or even as a starter potentially, with Tommy Souček coming off the bench. We need a bit more height, and we can sort of launch it a bit more potentially. Going up front, right hand side, Bowen. I'd move him back. To me, he's not a striker. He's a right winger, and he's more effective for the side when he's coming off the right wing. So he stays there. For me, this is on the assumption. That Lucas Paqueta has left, because I think that's pretty much written in the stars that he's gone in the summer. So for that, what I would do is move Kudus to the 10 role. Rather than put him out on the left wing, which I think he's not as effective, I'd move him into the 10. He can interchange with Bowen on that right side and 10 side, which I think would be really exciting. and it's something which I think when he's in the middle of the park, he's really, really effective, and also gives you that ability to run through the middle as well and balls over the top. And then on the left hand side, I would bring in Morgan Gibbs White. I think he is the right type of player for us. He is energetic, he's skillful, he's quick, he's young, he's British as well, so it helps with the loan quota. By bringing him in and Max Kilman, for example, that's two players who are homegrown at the not the cost, but at the upgrade of two who weren't, i.e., someone like Agerd and Paqueta. I'm not saying that he is a direct replacement for Paqueta, but for that left-hand side, and also he can play as a 10 role as well, he would give us the natural pace on the left-hand side, which I think we've been missing. And him overlapping with Emerson, him overlapping with Bradley Locko would be a really, really, really interesting and exciting prospect, and an absolute terrifying for a defensive line. When you've got Bowen, Kudus, and Morgan Gibbs White, you'll be keeping such a low line because you don't want the balls over the top, because they would absolutely beat you for pace without a shadow of a doubt. And then up front, I think you need a number 9. You need a proper number 9. You need a proper number 9 who will fit a system. You need a proper number 9 who will potentially run the channels. You need a proper number 9 who can hold it up. You need a proper number 9 who is lethal in defence. And for me, yes, Ivan Toney could be an option, but for me, I think the best option would be this man, Santiago Jimenez from Feyenoord, Mexican-born, absolutely. He's a beast of a player. For me, this gentleman is like the modern day Dean Ashton. Do you know what I mean? He's tricky. He's got enough pace to beat the man at 10 yards. He's absolutely lethal in defence, and I think he would be absolutely phenomenal in this West Ham side. He's going to cost you. He'll cost you. But maybe if we've got his manager as well, we might do a 2-for-1 job, do a bog off. But I think he would be brilliant. Obviously, he has the Mexican connection with Alvarez. He also has the Eredivisie connection with Alvarez and Kudus as well. So it's not like he'll be coming cold, so to speak, into the Premier League. He'll have people around him, and he'll have the likes of Morgan Gibbs White supplying him balls. Not Cresswell, as a Freudian slip. Bowen pinging the balls in, Kudus putting them through as well, him holding them up, hold up play will be phenomenal, and sort of laying off to the likes of MGW and Bowen and stuff like that. So this is how I would. This would be my starting 11. Realistic starting 11. I think we haven't gone out and said right we want to buy Haaland, and we haven't won about I mean, there was talk of us maybe doing a swap deal with Grealish. I can't see it happening. But obviously, he would occupy that left-hand side anyway. I think Gibbs White, particularly with all the struggles that Nottingham Forest are having at the moment, they will need to sell some of their players. And someone like Morgan Gibbs White would be one that would be available, I would imagine. And I think that's a really strong, really exciting shot. Youthful side as well. Ariola's 30, Emerson's approaching 30. Everyone else is below 28, 27. Yeah, I think so. So, quite an exciting side, a side that could gel over a couple of years as well, or at least over 18 months. And then you could bring into Emerson comes out and you bring in Locko, then potentially Ariola in 3-4 years' time, you then got a decent backup, whether it is Heggie, whether it is Knightbridge coming in, or maybe going and buying a new goalkeeper. I think I'm quite pleased with that. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think, what you want. What's your dream? Not dream 11. What's your realistic 11? I think that 11 is realistic. They're going to cost you money. But we're going to have £85 million at least back from Paqueta. Morgan Gibbs White, 40 to 50, I'd imagine. Jimenez looking about 50. Keita will be relatively cheap. Kilman you have to pay for about 30 million. I reckon there's about 110, 115 million quid, maybe slightly more. But I think that should be more than achievable in the coffers, considering all the extra money we'll be getting in terms of league position, in terms of hopefully winning the Europa League and being in the Champions League, but even a qualification for Europe next year would obviously give us that sort of that sort of grounding already in terms of we know what's going to bring it in from the group stages at least. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. And until next time, my friends, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, my bloody friends, and I'll see you very, very soon. Now, because it's international break, we're going to amalgamate Hammer's headlines and the Academy show for 1 week only, because obviously there's been no, all the kids are on international duty as well. With likes of Lewis Orford playing, Finley Herrick. They had a good, result the other day internationally. So keep an eye on the channel, and we'll bring up that to you. And also keep an eye on the channel for maybe an exciting My Hammers 11 coming very, very shortly. Take care. See you later, potato.